On WeatherScope, upper Midwest residents feel the brunt of the latest Arctic blast. Blowing snow, below zero temperatures, and dangerously low wind chills are the result. And lake effect snow returns to the Great Lakes region. We'll see how much snow these folks are in for. Those stories, plus in-depth forecast and analysis in this edition of WeatherScope.
Good evening. It's 30 minutes past the hour. I'm Gene Rubin. Alongside me, Jeff Morrow this evening. And Jeff, just checked the latest numbers. The wind chill in Dickinson, North Dakota has dropped to 79 below zero.
Oh, and here I thought it was just starting to get a little bit better there, and it goes right back down the drain.
I mean, these seriously, though, are life-threatening wind chills. Frostbite in a matter of seconds if you don't cover your exposed flesh accordingly, but everyone who lives in that area knows how to protect themselves, I'm sure. Yeah,
well, hopefully. You know, the state police are saying that if you are foolish enough to go out and you get stuck, don't leave your automobile. You're going to have to stay in there and try to run the engine from time to time to keep yourself warm. Because if you go out, like Gene said, in this kind of weather, you're taking your life into your hands, basically. All right, let's show you what it looked like at Fargo. And, I mean, just take a look at these pictures, and you can tell that it is not fit out for man nor beast, and not even for snowplow. They were trying to get the roads open, but as fast as they could plow them, they'd just blow right shut again. And again, a lot of the interstates still closed, but a lot of the blizzard warnings have been discontinued for parts of the Dakotas and Minnesota as the winds are slowly, and I mean slowly, dying down. Twin Cities didn't have quite as much wind, and they definitely got a lot of snow there. Wind chills right now in the 20 to 40 below category, so it's still pretty dangerous, even over to Minneapolis and St. Paul. Not getting better over the weekend, probably. Buffalo, New York, that same Arctic air, not quite as cold, but cold enough, moving over the open waters of Lake Erie, causing some lake effect snow. The Buffalo International Airport's picked up about 10, 11 inches, working on a foot now, as the lake effect snow bands have gone back and forth through Buffalo right on through this evening. And we'll be talking to Bill Keneally live from Buffalo, as we were this evening there, probably starting 7 a.m. tomorrow morning Eastern time. And then during the course of the day, he's going to be chasing the snow squalls as they move probably south of the Buffalo area down through southern Erie County. This is the leading edge of the cold air, folks, all the way down here into Texas, the proverbial blue norther blasting right on through, and the cold air is going to rush all the way to the coast. We'll talk more about that in the forecast. But as the cold air is coming over the open waters of Lake Michigan, Superior, and to a lesser extent off Huron, but then from the southwest across Erie and Ontario, we're getting the lake effect snow. Some areas of southwest lower Michigan have reported upwards of a foot or two of snow, believe it or not. And there's that persistent lake effect plume coming right on up into the Buffalo area, and I think we can get an even closer inspection here on our Doppler. Buffalo being about right here. This is Erie County, this is Chautauqua and Cattaraugus counties to the south. But again, from here all the way up into Niagara County and Genesee County, again, these plumes just continuing to come in off Lake Erie. Buffalo right in the path of this mess. So we're going to get well over a foot of snow from this in Buffalo until these squalls shift farther south as we head on through the early part of the day, we think, on your Saturday. 22 in Rochester currently, is 14 in Erie, 34 in Boston, and 35 in New York. Wind chills here are cold, and they're getting colder in the Great Lakes, but it really doesn't compare to what's going on, as Gene was mentioning, out here in the central parts of the nation. These are the actual temperatures: 20 below in Minot, 17 below in Bismarck, 14 below in Sioux Falls. Minot at 68 below. Gene was mentioning Dickinson in the upper 70 below to almost 80 below category. Just horrendously cold, dangerous here. Don't go out. Even if you have to, don't go out unless it's an absolute emergency. You're really taking your life in your hands, and it's still going to be cold here even on into Saturday. Gene?
Thank you very much, Jeff. The central U.S. is not the only region experiencing winter this evening. Both the east and the west are getting their fair share. In Colorado today, an avalanche shut down Vail Pass in both directions. There were at least 2 cars caught in the slide, which occurred on I-70 about 3.5 miles west of Vail. Road crews worked throughout the day to clear the snow from the highway. No injuries have been reported. The major interstates intersecting Nashville, Tennessee were a mess today. Snow started falling around noontime. Not much accumulated, but it still caused some driving problems for these truckers. Temperatures drop quickly right now in Nashville. Temperatures in the teens, wind chills below zero. So the snow that did fall today will stick around for quite a while, the way it looks like right now. All right, the front that brought the lousy weather to Nashville, Tennessee has now moved through Atlanta, brought some lousy weather earlier in the form of some big wet snowflakes, especially up in the north side around Marietta and Smyrna, and Roswell had some big flakes, but those flakes have melted for the most part now. A little bit of snow around Athens and a little bit of rain out ahead of that front approaching Columbia. Very cold temperatures behind that front right now. How cold are they, you're asking? Well, it's down to 28 in Atlanta. Say goodbye to the 50s you had today. You won't see those for days and days and days, sorry to say. 13 in Nashville, Tennessee, 16 in Little Rock. Remember in Atlanta a week or so ago, you were in the 70s. You were saying, boy, this is too good to believe or too good to be true. Well, you have to pay your dues sometimes, and that's what's happening in Atlanta right now. 1 degree the wind chill up in Marietta, wind chill 6 below, 3 below in Nashville, Little Rock, Arkansas, 6 below wind chill. Here's that precip move through Atlanta several hours ago now, Macon, Columbia, a few snowflakes, a few raindrops, nothing of any importance. Heavier snows up in the Carolinas, back up into Virginia right now. Several inches will accumulate, especially in some of the higher mountain areas from Snowshoe, West Virginia, down to the western mountains of North Carolina. Around the rest of the country, if you look real carefully, you can see some movement. That's the clouds. Otherwise, this gray area is just the cold air. This is the infrared picture, which measures the temperature of the clouds and the temperature, as you see it here, of the Earth. Some of the browner colors, that's where it's clear right now in the southwest and even over portions of North Florida out ahead of that front. It is snowing in the west. Heaviest snows will continue to fall around Steamboat Springs and north central mountains of Colorado. Good news for you skiers. We're looking for another foot of snow in the next 12 to 18 hours around Steamboat. Great skiing in Park City and down in Jackson Hole, right, Jeff?
Oh, some absolutely tremendous skiing going on in the west right now, particularly there in Utah and Colorado, and even up to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Again, a bit of a storm's going to take shape out here, I think, as this front stalled, and a bit of energy will continue in this area right through the weekend into early next week. So more snow in store for that region, and more lake effect snow as the cold air continues to plunge south and pushes all the way to the east coast. The core of the coldest air remains out here in the central plains. It's still windy enough to cause some definitely nasty wind chills out there. Hopefully won't be blowing and drifting the road shut here, but it's still going to be very nasty to be outdoors. Please use your noggin there and don't go out there in those kinds of conditions unless you absolutely have to. Snow, I went right past the precipitation of mounds because none of this really is going to be rain except maybe a little bit in the Pacific Northwest. Snow in the Rockies, as we mentioned, locally a foot or more of snow in some of these snow belt areas. And there's the snow Gene was talking about in the Carolinas moving away during the day Saturday. Overnight lows and afternoon highs not warming up very much. I mean, the sun's pretty feeble this time of the year, and this is Arctic air at its worst, and wind chills will be just as nasty. Gene?
Well, feeble sun's not going to do much good on Sunday either, even on Monday, except in South Florida and the Southwest, around Tucson and Phoenix. You're going to be a little bit on the mild side in the 60s, the rest of the country in the deep freeze. On Sunday, some very widely scattered light precip. Emphasize those words, widely scattered and light over the deep south. We're looking for maybe more significant precip as we get into Tuesday. We'll have to watch the situation carefully. Snow squalls continue rather heavily around the Great Lakes. And then on Monday, will some of this frozen precip spread to the north and east? We'll have to watch it carefully. Computer models are differing on what could go on. All right, we know what will go on. There will be a big NFC championship game in Lambeau Field in Green Bay. Flurries on Sunday, breezy. Temperatures around 15, wind chills around 10 below. And as we go to the big AFC championship game, Jacksonville, New England, and Foxborough, windy, much warmer than Green Bay, high temperatures around 30 degrees. And coming up later will be a radar update, but don't want to jump ahead of ourselves. And by the way, I do want to remind everyone to provide adequate shelter for your pets in this extremely cold weather.
Some good advice, because they're going to really suffer.